Inshallah and Ashe, blessings to you, my energetic beings. It is I, once again, Tonya D, holistic medium and subtle energetic surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies with the subtle energetic fields, pathways, and centers. And there is something otherworldly happening out there, but welcome to Meet Me for Coffee. I have once again brought Jonathan DePorter of Behold Retreats back to the stage to explore literally the energetics of the plants. And if you have yet to catch up to our first show, please do, The Wisdom of Plant Medicine. But today, again, we are going to explore the innate nature of the plant, the journey of the plant, and the journey the plant goes on in order to literally take us on that journey. And I should say the nature of the elemental realm as well. So Jonathan, I see that you have retreats in a variety of places. Bofu in Portugal, the Toad in Tulum, Ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and some other great adventures. Can you dive into the culture of the medicine and why you picked these different places to do your retreats? Like, why would one do a retreat in Portugal versus one in Mexico or the Netherlands?
Yeah, sure. Happy to share. So we predominantly work with three medicines. And thank you for that introduction, by the way. That was a great intro, Tonya D. So we predominantly work with three medicines. One is psilocybin, which is, magic mushrooms, more commonly known. The second is ayahuasca, which is actually the combination of two plants. Confusingly, one of them is the ayahuasca vine, and the second is chacruna. And then different traditions also sometimes mix in a third and sometimes even a fourth plant. There's very many traditions that work with ayahuasca. And then the third medicine that we work with is, as you mentioned, bufo, or the toad. And that's a very powerful medicine. It's also known as 5-MeO DMT. So, I guess the contrast that I would start with in terms of these three different medicines is that usually for those clients who are first timers, and if they've got a high degree of nerves in relation to exploring this experience, generally speaking, they will self-select into the direction of psilocybin. It's a bit of a, I would say, easier entry point in the sense that it's not so demanding on the physical body as can be the case with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is, it's a very great and powerful medicine, but it's known for its purgative effects, and so it's common to detoxify the body in both directions as a result of the medicine, and that can be pretty challenging for people sometimes. And then the third is generally recognized, 5-MeO DMT, or bufo, is commonly recognized as 4 to 6 times more powerful than ayahuasca. So it's a very powerful medicine. But that being said, I often put, people within my, say, professional network or friends who I know are of a very strong and sound mind. I sometimes put them in the direction of the toad in the first instance because it's a short negotiation process between the egoic self and the higher self. And so it can lead to, a very rapid breakthrough type experience. So kind of set the scene there and then let you direct the conversation from here, Tonya.
So, can you dive in a little bit more about like just the exploration of the indigenous plant, like where it's cultured and maybe the frequency and the energetics and the vibrations, kind of the mystery and the magic behind it itself?
Yeah, sure. So I would start by saying that this isn't my area of absolute expertise. That being said, I've journeyed with each, so have quite a bit to share in relation to that. I think with psilocybin, we have evidence of use of mushrooms with psilocybin in them virtually across the globe. So whether we talk about Tibetan traditions, even Scandinavian traditions, Irish traditions, certainly throughout northern central and South America. So, the mushroom is very well traveled. I would say it's a medicine that is certainly a teacher, right? Each of these medicines have messages unto themselves, and so often with the mushroom, people feel an energetic being, right, with that you're interacting with as part of the journey, and is actually teaching you and or showing you very specific things, either about yourself or yourself in relation to others, or yourself in relation to the natural world, or indeed the universe. So the energetics of these experiences are very much influenced by also the energy behind the actual medicine itself, right? So at the moment we're at a kind of a bit of an inflection point in relation to commercialization of plant medicine and psychedelics more broadly. And what's becoming, I think, very clear to some practitioners in the space is that if the mushroom was grown in a 5,000 square foot, factory sort of setting, and then it's going to have one sort of energetic association with it. Some of the private healers that we work with, they only buy their mushrooms from people who grow them individually and sing mantras to them each and every day. And so there's a different energetic aspect and dynamic and expectation, indeed, that comes as a result of that, the energy that goes into the cultivation of the mushrooms.
Yeah, I love that, because I feel like you need to bring in all of the earthly elementals to kind of navigate and have like a conversation with the spirit of the plant in a way.
Absolutely. And, I think as and when people are starting this work, often that's a little bit more difficult for them to pick up on, right? I think someone as energetically sensitive as you would be very quick to feel the differences that exist there between, say mushrooms and ayahuasca versus the toad. But often, as people begin this work for the first times, what's happening is there's an amplification from the subconscious. And so there's so much to deal with there that perhaps they're not quite getting in tune with the energy of the medicine itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was also thinking of the vibration of the earth plane where the plant comes from would have a different frequency than because it's native to a certain indigenous area, so I'm sure it carries a different frequency and flavor than if you are harvesting it in a greenhouse.
Absolutely. And I think the ayahuasqueros in particular, each medicine is brewed, each batch is brewed individually, right? And that's usually a multi-day process. And so similar, whether we talk about, the toad or ayahuasca or mushrooms, each of these plants or fungi or medicines from the toad are individualized, right? They are specific to that plant or that animal. And so there can be quite wide variations actually in terms of the energy and in terms of the experience, because, if we take ayahuasca as one example, that medicine has 432 plus compounds within it, right? So it really doesn't fit the kind of Western reductionist model where we want to isolate a single molecule and understand, what magic trick it holds for us. So it's a very complex medicine. And so when you think about, there's different types of ayahuasca vines, right? There's the red, the yellow, the black are the three most commons, but there's others over and above that. Then the chacruna plant, and then there's the other plants that are sometimes also added in. And so when we combine that, let alone the different batches, there's just an incredible variety and complexity, cornucopia even, of different energies that are available even from a single medicine, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. So is there certain reasons that you have your retreats in specific areas? Is that so you can get the medicine indigenous from that location?
Yeah, that certainly plays a role. Legality is obviously number one for us in terms of doing this, where the work is honored. And in relation to that, then of course, practitioners tend to high quality practitioners tend to gravitate towards locations where this work is legal. They don't want to be kind of looking over their shoulder on a regular basis, right? And so, yeah, in Costa Rica, certainly, there's a lot of medicine that is grown there, and so that's one of the reasons that we do work there. We will shortly open in Peru as well, and also, a location where ayahuasca grows. In terms of psilocybin, we do most of our work in Mexico, and so there's a strong Mazatec tradition there. We're working with psilocybin, and also the Netherlands. And while there hasn't been I wouldn't say there has been a sustained tradition in the Netherlands for psilocybin. It certainly reemerged there, and like I said before, it's legal.
So, what are some different explorations that for the indigenous plant, like different areas? Those are the main ones, it sounds like. And you said the Netherlands and where? Portugal. What's going on in Portugal?
Yeah, the other medicine that I didn't mention was San Pedro or peyote, which are also very well known in the in terms of having a strong indigenous culture and wisdom tradition around them. And so those are both cacti that you find through Central and South America and parts of North America as well. And they're often used in ceremonial settings. These are medicines that still today, I would say, are used in more traditional sort of settings than has received the attention from, I guess, your typical Westerner, which is often drawn in the direction of psilocybin or ayahuasca or bufa.
So can you explore a little bit, like, do you have certain age recommendations that you find to explore any of these journeys? Like, for example, would you want someone to have explored, gone on a journey past their first Saturn return cosmically, or would you want them like right out of high school, or would you want them at a stage of initiation, or is there like a process that you find to actually kind of recalibrate at any age?
Yeah, it's a good question, it's a very sensitive one as well, as you can appreciate. So, for us professionally, we don't serve any clients over the age of 21. Sorry, under the age of 21. We do make some exceptions to that where there's the support of the parent is present. So that's something that we do look for if someone's under the age of 21. Beyond that, there are certainly other retreat centers that serve clients from age 18 up, openly so. And beyond that, I think they're probably it's a sensitive area, but on a case by case basis, certainly we've heard stories of people who are doing this work at a younger age. I think it's the science hasn't yet really given us many indications in that regard, because obviously that's sensitive as well to even begin doing research as such. But certainly I've heard stories of very traumatized people in their late teens doing this work and receiving significant benefits from it. But I haven't seen any retreat centers or anything like that that kind of openly declares that that's a set of people that they work with.
That makes sense. I just was curious, certain, I would say, young adults that are experiencing different forms of, I'll say, what am I saying? Well, like these younger kids that get into like heroin or meth or whatnot, that totally is caustic and life altering and usually detrimental ways. So I was curious if like to kind of twist them out of that entanglement in a way.
Yeah. I haven't actually heard of any of that being done specifically. I mean, for addiction in a broad sense, yes. But for recovery in youth, I actually haven't heard any stories myself. I would add to, and again, this is purely anecdotal, what I have seen personally in growing up in Hawaii, which was a pretty substance-rich environment, is that those who began using these substances, these psychedelics as a broad category, in their teenage years, they haven't walked an easy path from that point, I would say. And again, that's anecdotal. That's just been my personal experience. And so, yeah, I would caution those who are exploring that to really spend the time and the energy and do their research and, look for other stories of success, right? And of course, that's what we're looking for. Is we don't want to be the first in relation to exploring something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have like a recommendation? Like, is this something to continue, or do you find some people like come once for a one-on-one, or maybe they do like a 7-week, or they're kind of yearly? How does that look?
Yeah, it really depends upon the individual. Clients actually ask that question quite a lot before they come on a first retreat. It's like, hey, if I come and do this, it also depends upon the individual and where they're at, right? Some people are coming to have a specific problem solved. Other people are just ready to expand their consciousness and doing pretty well in life. Usually the people who are here to solve a problem ask that question of like, hey, if I just do this once, am I going to be fixed? And so again, there's no right or wrong. It's people have profound experiences and think, well, I don't think I'll. Yeah, I would say. So some people, some people come and they have a very powerful first experience, and they feel like, oh, I'll never need to do that again. At that point in time, other clients come and they clear a whole bunch of stuff in their first retreat, and they're back with us just a week later or 2 weeks later because now they want to get clarity on their future and get clarity on expanding from where they are now that they've cleared some of that lower level stuff. So it really depends upon the individual and whether they feel called towards doing more medicine work, and whether they want to explore more medicines, right? There's often clients that they really do want to experience the different medicines that are out there. And so we guide them through different retreats working with different medicines.
So it's almost like they get to explore different cultures native to the medicine on their own. Like, I don't really want to say like a vacation, because I feel like the indigenous traveling is much different than somebody going like on a cruise or something like that. It's not like that.
Yeah, well said. But that being said, I think as when people are going on their first retreat, it's such an event that there's not much of an opportunity to do much other than their deep inner work. Once they've been through a few retreats, or even, if they're performing well through a first or second retreat, then it becomes a slightly different sort of an adventure, right? So you can do a lot more out, much deeper in nature. There's a growing confidence in working with the energies of the medicine, and that really allows for much deeper understanding of our inherent connection to Mother Nature in a much deeper way. And so that's really beautiful once clients get to that position. Ethnobotanical walks and really explaining to them the deeper inner workings of nature. And so we've got a couple ethnobotanists that we work with that are medicine people as well. And so that's always very exciting when clients have, that are motivated to deepen that connection, and they've already done, cleared some of their easier to reach lower level stuff so that they can go deeper and in that kind of nature oriented work.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the plants have their own mystical, magical kind of spirit, each individually, just like human beings, right?
Absolutely.
So where's the botanist at? Which retreat could somebody find your botanist at?
Yeah, so one of the ones that we do in Costa Rica, Jonathan is the facilitator for that, and he's incredible. He's been doing this work for 30 years now, and he's got a really incredible, I would say rustic, but incredible retreat center in the south of Costa Rica. And he's just a man of the plants and a man of the jungle. Identify each and every plant, each and every bug, and people love going to that retreat. So that's one. The other gentleman is he's just moved to Jamaica, and so he's setting up some clinical research there and also hosting retreats there as well.
Okay, where in Jamaica? I went to Strawberry Hills years ago. It's a resort in the mountains that I absolutely love. So I'm hoping his is in the mountains as well.
I don't know, to be honest with you. He's literally just moved there, and I haven't connected with him yet. So we haven't facilitated any retreats yet in Jamaica, but that door is open. So we're exploring.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to share with my audience about the magic of the plants?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other aspects to share in relation is well, one, I would say research the individual plants, right? So I've mentioned a couple that I'll reiterate here. So psilocybin, ayahuasca, San Pedro, or peyote, and then finally bufo. They are very different experiences. They bring very different energy. I think some are better for deep inner work. I think for those who are really looking to do very deep inner work, I would generally put people in the direction of ayahuasca or 5-MeO-DMT, bufo. For those that are looking for a soft as possible entry point, I think psilocybin is a good one. And for those who really want to, I think San Pedro and peyote are incredible actually in nature. I think they're really heart-opening medicines. They're not too physically demanding. And so those are really beautiful experiences to do more immersed in nature.
Like physically being out in nature, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Okay, with all of that, inshallah and Ashe, I will have all the information in the show notes, and I highly recommend you do your own research and possibly take a retreat with Behold Retreats. I'm sure I will be looking into that in my near future as well. Blessings to you, and I'll see you on the other side.